This one's dressed to the nines. He got no war party to go to. Hey, toy fanatics. So Christmas came early this year. Every year I normally get like a little something for myself for Christmas time. That's an action figure, something that I don't normally have in the collection. This year I happened to find this and could not pass it up. Rooted hair, soft goods clothing, lots of accessories and armor, and an axe that's got a skull that looks like it has dog ears on it. That's right, I'm talking about Toy Biz, which we haven't talked too much about. Kull the Conqueror. This is blazing armor Kull as well. So look at that beauty. Isn't that nice? So we're going to be talking about this one. Now, if you're not familiar with Kull, Kull is one of the properties of Robert E. Howard. Robert E. Howard is the author who wrote Conan, Solomon Kane, those pulp writings from back in the 30s, 40s. Kull was one of the stories that takes place in the world of Conan, so Hyperborea. Kull is actually I think the Atlantean Sword wielder that Conan finally gets the Atlantean Sword from, but they're separated by, I think, hundreds of years. So, Kull is an Atlantean that ends up taking the throne of a king. And in this particular story, the movie actually had Kevin Sorbo in. That was in 1997 through Universal. And they made a whole whopping big series of figures that spanned 3 action figures. And this was Toy Biz. So Toy Biz, Hercules, Xena Warrior Princess, Lord of the Rings. They've kind of got like a sword and sorcery sort of theme at this point. Which before, they had a lot of Marvel licensing. So can't wait to jump into this, check it out, see what's going on. Let's get into it. So this is our Kull the Conqueror on card. Now, my card looks like it had a run-in with an elephant and lost horribly because it is completely smashed. And you could tell that this one probably wasn't taken care of because cards dented, dinged, folded, oh, you name it. And the rubber bands inside are kind of deteriorated, some blotted, broken. I'm hoping when I pull this out, it's not going to completely fall apart, much like some Toy Biz toys in my past have done. So I'm kind of hoping for the best on this one. Kull the Conqueror, as far as the card, pretty simple. It's got a nice Kull the Conqueror title over the top. The bubble is actually kind of an archway of stone. It's really hard to tell with this one because it is crushed, but it's a nice, cool looking bubble. And it has a nice archway kind of stone appeal to it that really lends it back to the idea of like sword and sorcery and castles. Down below, we do get the lion for the kingship that Kull actually ends up taking over, becoming the king. And then we get a display of all the weapons inside. Now, note on this one of the weapons for my set is missing because it kind of fell down into the bottom of the bubble. But he also comes with a really cool sword there as well. The top bio actually gives us some background information. It talks about Kevin Sorbo being Universal TV's phenomenal success of Hercules, Legendary Journeys. And then it gives us some background of Kull being the Robert E. Howard writings from the 30s, as well as being the 1970s Marvel comic Kull the Conqueror. Down below with the line, we do have another bio that is interesting. This one reads so strangely. It says, with battle axe in hand, there is little that can stand in the way of Kull the Conqueror B10. Not sure what that means. The mighty hero from the mysterious island of Atlantis attempts to join the king's elite fighting force, the Dragon Legion. But by a strange twist of fate, the dying king chooses Kull as his successor. Now the hero of Atlantis wears the crown, but as king, he is still Kull the Conqueror. Kind of a strange sounding bio, and I'm not sure what the B10 is all about, because honestly, I've been looking to find Kull to add to my DVD collection because I do have pretty much the Conan, Solomon Kane, and all the others. Kull I was never able to get. So maybe I can be lucky on my legendary journey to go find the DVD later. Now down below it actually has some interesting artwork, and it shows the figure and it shows kind of all the accessories that go with him. He has war armor and a war helmet, arm blades, a war hammer, a battle axe, leg armor, a sheath, and a battle sword. Wow, that's quite a bit. And it shows how the armor and everything fits on top of him as well. Down below we get another look at the Toy Biz logo and a proof of purchase. Strangely though, this figure doesn't have any showing of any of the other figures in the line, which makes it kind of strange in my opinion. Now, that's the package, and that's not going to tell us anything else. I think we need to open this up and see what's inside. And of course, here's our blazing armor Kull outside a package, holding all of his accessories. So, Jeff, there you go, old buddy. He doesn't break your action figure rule. He's able to hold it all to an extent. Let's see. Oh, yeah, first, second. Let me go ahead and start off by saying that as much as I like this figure, there are going to be some hardcore aspects about this where Toy Biz just did not have their heart into it. Alright, things to note. He is in a 6-inch action figure scale. Well, about 5.5 inches, honestly. He's almost the same size as most of your 5.5-inch muscular body types. So this is Rimco Arak. This is him in comparison. Okay, so between the two, they look pretty good in that he's all muscle bound, but main difference, once you take that helmet off and then look at him, yeah, he's got a big case of tiny head. And not just to mention tiny head, he also suffers from a few other things. Go ahead and take his hammer off. When you start breaking him down, you start looking at different things. The leg gauntlets are fun. These are pretty nice, but these pop off. And then we got painted boots. Sword slides out of the sheath. Sheath pops off. Pretty basic stuff. Armor pops off of him. And we've kind of been left with this part of the figure. So far, so good. It doesn't seem to be too bad, except, look at that rooted hair. When you go to open this up, you do realize that that is an empty shell where there used to be an action feature that no longer has anything. And that's what we're left with. And upon doing research, I actually went to look. Now, this would have been a reuse of parts from other lines, mainly the Hercules line, where they already had the likeness of Kevin Sorbo kind of sculpted in. A lot of those figures themselves suffer from having a really teeny tiny head and a very oversized, bulky body. This one doesn't seem to have the same thing. It seems to be more of a mesh of different parts from different figures. My guess is that, for the most part, the body type probably has to do with the maybe the iron spiked Hercules that had wheels on the back that would allow his arms to go up and down and spin maces around, or maybe even from the glider attack. And the arms might have been from one of the other characters, because none of the parts really seem to fit together very well. Legs are standard legs, and these legs we've had before with Hercules himself. Remember, Toy Biz is pretty big about reusing a lot of their parts, and they've done this in the past, especially during this time. With all of his accessories off, this is what he looks like. And the thing is that the plastic itself, it's really thin. And in all honesty, I really felt more like I was going to break it as soon as I got it out. I had to move a few joints around just to make sure that it was going to be okay. There was a gapping between the head and the body for mine. And the rooted hair, kind of a weird selling point for me in all honesty. I don't care much for this armor. I think that this armor is kind of, I could do without it. And mine seems pretty rigid. And I don't know if that's because it's been sun damaged or not. The helmet seems pretty cool, but I don't really remember Kull wearing a helmet that much, so that one seems kind of odd. Same with the gauntlets here. I think for me personally, the pieces that I really dig the most, I really like this axe. And they've done pretty good with these weapons before with other lines, but It's weird because we got a skull that looks like it has dog ears on the top. But I really dig the axe. I like this one. We have the Atlantean Sword. Very different than what Conan carries around. I do like this belt with the sheath on it. I think that this part works really well. I do like the boots with the lions on them. And I kind of dig this hammer. I think this hammer is a lot of fun too. So let's dress him back up. So this is more of how I pretty much would want to like show off and present Kull the Conqueror. Though it's, once we put his shirt on, it really does make that head size to body ratio really stand out. And it makes his head seem so teeny tiny in comparison. The hair, it doesn't help him at all. This is kind of one of those odd figures that doesn't really feel like a lot of work and effort went into it. It doesn't really feel like one of those where I guess the overall aesthetic of the figure and the thought process of how it was put together was really worked out. It seems more rushed than anything else. And it proves that it was rushed just by the fact that there's no play features. The goods on them are kind of missized, so they don't actually fit that well. And even the packaging itself doesn't even call off to other figures within the line. This is kind of one of those weird ones for Toy Biz. So that's the figure. You know, it's kind of one of those weird ones. For me personally, I'm glad to have him because I am a Robert E. Howard fan, and I like those works. I think that this figure would have done really well with keeping maybe those wheels in, so he could have like hack and slash sort of actions. I think that would have been so much better. But they opted to take it out and then opted not to even sculpt over the empty holes. So he's got empty cavities in his chest, and it just makes this figure feel very, very cheap. Let's talk cost on this one. I got this figure with shipping about $12. So I think for what we get, because I would expect this figure, you know, to be kind of cheap, I'm going to go with $2 signs. If you can get this cheaper, I would. This figure, for me, if you're going to get it, if you like Robert E. Howard and you decide that you want to have this figure in your line, it would be better suited for you to get a figure on a nice card to display than it would to get a figure to take them out. They're not really worth taking out, in my honest opinion. They look better on card with everything displayed, and I think that they present better that way with having the background and everything themed. Let's talk stars. Out of 5 stars, I'm giving this one a 2. Keep it on cards. It's a cool display piece, cool conversation piece, but not really something that you want to play with that much. I will probably take this one around and carry him either in my backpack or in my pocket, because he's about to become my pocket barbarian. You've got a rooted hair, bare-chested, hollow, emptied, action featureless action figure that's got a giant axe with dog ears on the skull that I think you're gonna get some looks somehow. So he might just kind of travel with me because I don't know where else I'd put him on my shelf. All right, so maybe Christmas didn't come quite as early as I thought. I might want to wait till Christmas Day now to get some better things. All right, remember, they're not dolls. They're action figures. In his case, he's like an action figure doll, except he's action featureless action figure doll. He didn't conquer.
This episode of Tay Ray Gun was sponsored by Marvin Dog Media. To learn more about Marvin Dog Media, visit www.marvindogmedia.com.
If you liked the video, be sure to hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, comment down below to let YouTube know that you like what I'm making, and be sure to hit that bell notification so you get updates to future content.